What's up, guys? So today I want to do a quick little video on creatine monohydrate. And creatine monohydrate is probably one of the most effective supplements that you can buy, and it's also one of the most scientifically supported as well. Now ironically, it's also one of the cheapest supplements that you can buy too. Now because of this, creatine is extremely popular, and the creatine marketplace there's a lot of competition, right? Because just about every supplement company makes some form of creatine. Now, what a lot of companies have done is they've tried to come up with some alternative form of creatine that they claim is superior to just regular creatine monohydrate, and they do this as a way to differentiate themselves within the marketplace. Now, at this point, there's not really any sufficient evidence demonstrating that these other forms of creatine are superior. But let's just say that there are some studies. Like, I know there was one that was just posted pretty recently that showed that creatine hydrochloride, or creatine HCl, was better at, for fat loss or something like that. But this could be potentially problematic because whenever a company comes out with a new form of creatine, they get a patent for it, right? So they own that type of creatine, and it's more than likely that these companies are the ones who are funding the studies for whichever creatine that they own, which unfortunately opens up the opportunity that some of these studies could be flawed, right? They could have used poor methodologies, they could have underreported some of the results, and there kind of is a conflict of interest in these situations, so it is potentially problematic. Now, I'm not saying that this is always the case, but I just want people to be aware that this, it could be possible that that's happening. Now, another thing is you can't, determine that something is a fact based off one scientific study. Just because one study comes out saying that this form of creatine is better, that doesn't mean that that's actually the case and that's always going to be true. Whereas creatine monohydrate, on the other hand, has been studied probably hundreds of times by now, and it's consistently been able to produce positive results, basically validating the fact that creatine monohydrate is extremely effective and that works. Now, another thing about these other forms of creatine is that they're extremely expensive. Creatine monohydrate, on the other hand, as I mentioned earlier, is very, very cheap. The creatine that I buy is like a big tub, and it's $3, I think, and it comes with 200 servings. That's enough to last almost 7 months. Now, let's say in the future there was a bunch of studies that came out on a certain type of creatine, basically validating that it was better. The thing is, I highly doubt that it's going to be that much better to the point where it's worth spending all that extra money on it, because it seems like there's a pretty big price gap between creatine monohydrate and these other creatine products. So even if it is slightly better, in my opinion, I don't think that it's really going to be worth spending all that extra money. So in my opinion, I think creatine monohydrate is the way to go. It's very cheap, it's scientifically supported, and it works. And that's a supplement that I pretty much take year round. It's safe for men and women. I recommend it to just about anyone because it works so well and it's cheap. So I'll link down below the creatine that I use, but at the end of the day, creatine monohydrate is creatine. No matter who you get it from, it's going to be cheap and it's going to be effective, but we always appreciate when people get it from us. But hopefully you guys liked this video, and if you did, don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe if you didn't already, and make sure you guys follow me on Instagram as well, alright, at Hardbody Lifestyle.